Awesome. My name is Tiara Mack, and I'm running for State Senate District 6 right here in Providence. I live right down the street. And I never really imagined that I'd be sitting in this seat, mostly because growing up there weren't many leaders who looked like me in my communities or shared the stories of being a low-income Black queer person running for office, and kind of like Michelle, I was just really hoping someone else would step up who shared my ideas. And when that didn't happen, and when the political establishment decided that it was safer to stay with someone who's been ranked the lowest in Rhode Island for civil liberties, I had to say, well, it's me. Enough is enough, it's me. And spending time last year at the State House during the Reproductive Privacy Act really showed me that my voice and the voice of people who look like me and who are in the community are often unheard, and they're not part of the narrative that shapes the laws and decisions that are happening at the State House on a fundamental level. Every single person that I saw almost didn't share any of the backgrounds. There were about 5 of us that I could name on one hand who were at the State House, who looked like me, shared my story, and knew the stories of communities right here in Providence that really impacts the way that we think about policy and the way that we shape how our community works for folks. And so that really promoted me to say, okay, well, if I know these stories of the people who live here, if I know the narratives that are being unaddressed at the State House, why can't I step up and honor and elevate the voices and stories from those who are the most impacted when policies are not heard and are not put to the forefront in our politics. And so that means believing in a Green New Deal, believing in affordable housing, and believing in healthcare and a broad spectrum of healthcare for every individual, and also recognizing that those have to be at the forefront of what we mean by justice, because it's enough to say that healthcare should be accessible, but if it's not affordable and if it's not affirming for communities, then it's not truly healthcare for all. And if we're talking about housing reform, we also have to recognize who's left out of the housing conversation, what are the barriers for people, and then also what communities are housing available. Right here in Providence, we have one of the highest asthma rates, especially for Black and brown communities, and that's right here in the Port. And we should be able to say that the environmental impacts of that community highly impact what housing should look like, what the environmental justice should look like, and then what fair pay for work looks like in our communities. And those are the voices and stories that I hope to bring to the forefront when I'm elected for State Senate.